Today, we've invited teachers from across the metro area and even further areas than that, actually, into rural Oklahoma to come to the museum for a day of learning about content in the museum, but content that can also be used in their classrooms at multiple grade levels. All the teachers that come here today get to return with their students for a free trip, which is a nice incentive to get them out of the classroom. But today, teachers got to hear from historians on a recomplicated story of the West, so it's kind of disrupting a traditional story of the West. So in addition to spending face time with real historians, they get to visit the museum's collections and hear from docents. They get to see what a student field trip would look like. They get a little lesson in pedagogy, so classroom strategies for using these materials, and they get a discount at the gift shop.
Our understanding of history is always changing, so it's something that's being continuously revised, and it should be, as we look at new sources, as we critically re-examine old sources, and we start to shift our perspective and understand that we can't always just take historical evidence at face value, that we have to put it in its context, that we have to understand what produced that particular part of evidence, and even the power dynamics involved in that. And as we continually look critically at those things, we have a much more dynamic, inclusive understanding of just how complicated the past was.
I think this is going to be good for the students because it's something that's right here that I'm sure their parents don't really think about bringing them to. Because in my mind, I thought this was, except for the little play area, geared more for adults. And so it was interesting doing the tour from a third grade perspective, and we bring them back to see how this really can be interesting to kids and how you can connect the past to the future.
We have such diverse classrooms today, and that beautiful chemistry that we have in our classrooms, that should be reflected in our history, that we should look at what are the stories of multiple types of people and backgrounds. And I think our students are so innately curious, and they want to know, and they want to learn, and they want to grow. So if we can kind of help them along with that and cultivate that curiosity, then we're in good hands with our future generations, and our teachers are the great agents of that change.
I think the big challenge as an educator you face is that it is such a big thing to boil it down and get it in terms that a modern young person can understand. They live in a world of video games, and sometimes these concepts are difficult for them to grasp. I think bringing kids to a place like this, and just museums in general, it kind of brings these things to life. It becomes less abstract and more of a real concept they can see.
Well, I really hope that they understand the benefits that the museum can bring to them, both in teacher workshops, but also in returning with their learners and then sharing that story with other colleagues that they work with at their school. It's such an amazing resource to have right here in the middle of the metro. But I also hope that they leave here with some content knowledge that increases their own personal knowledge of how they teach the West. So we have teachers here that are teaching kindergarten, we have teachers here that are teaching high school, and they can all tell the story, they just tell it differently for different age groups.
We have grant funding available that provides free admission for students and bus reimbursement, $150 for each bus that comes out to the museum filled with kiddos. We have a variety of programs that the teachers can choose from, focusing on Native American culture, cowboy culture, Oklahoma as the West, or just general overview tours of the gallery. So lots of options for teachers to choose from.
For us, because we are a very low-income socioeconomic group, just having the opportunities and how they said that they would be willing to help with buses and paying for the cost of that is just a huge benefit to me as a teacher, that I don't have to put that on parents. It means the world to me. Like, my students have just gained so much this year with having things like this to benefit them. Seeing them get interested in something that they normally wouldn't be, or they wouldn't normally have access to, has been phenomenal.
I'm very impressed with the recent changes in this institution. This idea of it being the Cowboy Hall of Fame and focusing only on the cowboy culture of the region excludes a lot of different viewpoints. And so I know that there's been a lot of workshops, a lot of lectures, a lot of programming here recently that has made great strides in moving towards a much more multicultural and inclusive understanding of the West. And I think that's so important for the community here and just makes it a much more dynamic and educational experience for all the visitors who want to come here to see all the lovely art and learn about the rich history of the region.
It shows that we have support from somewhere. There are organizations out there that are willing to take the time to give us more tools so we can better educate the kids of Oklahoma.
Well, my hope is that the kids learn about their Western culture, whether they realize it's part of their background or not, and that they have a good time and learn a little bit about cowboy culture, Native American culture, and we're happy to share it with them. So the best way for teachers to schedule a field trip is to go to our website, which is nationalcowboymuseum.org, and we wanted to encourage as many schools and area-wide educators to take advantage of it and come out and see us.